This is the Scream 6 review. Yes, more horror, because why not? Four survivors of the Ghostface murders leave Woodsboro behind for a fresh start in New York City. However, they soon find themselves in a fight for their lives when a new killer embarks on a bloody rampage because it's never over. A little longer than its predecessor, Scream 5, and it did drag a bit at times, but it held my interest.
And lucky for you, this will be spoiler free. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ghostface. What are you gonna make me not give spoilers? Anyway, small recap on that. I did mention at Scream 5 the requel was actually good. We had discussed at length how we were tired of adaptation, reiterations, and modernizations of our culturally acclaimed classics. But I still recommend watching it in the name of horror. And my fave was Craven. I think it's available on Paramount Plus, whichever one of you subscribe to that. If not, you can always rent it, of course. And if I remember correctly, I rated Scream 5, a 3 out of 5. Yeah, I need to do some adjusting on that, but more on that later. Let me go off for a moment about this facet that you've seen in the trailers and posters. That whole weathered mask thing, it's unnecessary. See, it works for your supernatural entities, mythical villains, because it's just them. The killer doesn't change hands, and the sequels occur over years of time. Pause, yeah, whatever. I know it does in some instances, like Halloween, for example, but we're not on that right now. That William Shatner mask is bound to look crazy after all those years. And let's not even get on the hair. That's exactly what I mean when it's realistic, because through time, of course, that mask will look crazy. But without sprinkling too much on top of this, because I did like the larger picture of that plot device. Put a pin in it for yourselves when you watch it. I still have my original Scream mask from '96. Yes, did you all think I was playing? My mask is literally still intact and bright white, not crusty, chipping away, and funky looking. The only thing I don't have is the cloak. Not that it fit me in the first place, because I specifically remember the adult sizes being sold out. So a child had to get a child size for once. But it wasn't too bad. Just wasn't as long as I needed it to be. But then again, nobody told me to be 7'5" since birth. But I digress. I do wish I still had that retractable knife though. But I think I broke the spring. I probably took it apart and wasn't able to put it back. I don't vividly remember how I broke it, but I think, yeah, that spring wasn't springing. And I remember it cracking open, but who knows how? Toys, guys. Shout out to Party City. For some reason, they're still around after all these years. But where else are you going to get your costumes from? Oh, Spirit, too. Or online. I mean, you have options, but surprised that those stores still exist. And what is it with Ghostface in any of the Scream movies having super strength and agility? Never winded, knocked out for a maximum of 2 minutes, picking people up with their pinky, and the list goes on. That mask has superpowers, I'm telling you. Now, the opening scene. Child, too bad I can't go into this with full on details and spoilers, but I was laughing. I'm sorry. I was legit laughing. I found it funny, but hey. Now, I will say the opening sequence. So, the first 30 minutes, including the opening pre title card scene and like everything that led after that before we got into like the actual grind of the story. This is also where I figured out the killer. So, time yourself and see how long it takes you to guess, because it didn't take me long at all. Yay. Yes, we must gamify everything in life because it's fun. But this sequence definitely sets the tone for the rest of the movie while introducing us to the returning crew and new cast of characters. And let me give props to the acting growth. Slashers tend to be very hokey and they don't take themselves seriously. But there were some solid performances here. More from the OG cast, you can tell. They're definitely more comfortable and confident within their roles. So, shout out to them. Mindy, one of the twins, aka Randy's niece, still my favorite character, played by Jasmine Savoy Brown. We love a good know it all. Someone has to attempt to make sense of all of this. I like the way they made the role their own. It's their interpretation of Randy, which fares well because, I mean, technically it is their uncle, but at the same time, it's kind of like it could either be really right or like putting too much on, but that role fits them perfectly. The Easter eggs and homage paid in the film are everything. Keep your eyes open for things as well as pay attention to the main story. You can do two things at once, probably three or four, including eating popcorn, doing whatever you do in the movies. But that brings me to my favorite scene, which I'll just tag as the train scene. Way better than what you would think from the trailers. For sure, top two scenes. There's another I won't mention, but wow. It brought a tear to my eye. If you know, you know. Just, yeah, pay attention. Seriously, there's a lot. Don't blink. This is random, but you're here. Hello. You know the voice actor Roger L. Jackson, aka Ghostface? He also voiced Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls. I'll spare you. I'm not even gonna do it, but I can. But enjoy that. And yes, he's still actively voicing Ghostface, which is dope.
Shout out to me.
All right, calm down, my guy. We already gave props. You don't need to be all boastful. I swear, you go to New York once and your confidence just goes through the roof. So the kills lived up to the R rating. Somewhere, not even doing the most. They were just silly. But it's a slasher. You're gonna get some of that mixed in with the more brutal killings. And as far as the location, I mean, it's New York. The possibilities and environmental effects are endless. And they do a pretty decent job, considering it was shot in Montreal, Canada. You already know you're going to get stereotypes and dashes of gentrification here and there, as they are at the fictitious Blackmore University in Brooklyn. Expanding the world beyond Woodsboro was an interesting facet, giving us Safe by the Bell the college years while playing cat and mouse with Ghostface in the big city. The time has come for me to remind you all about the scare factor score. No, I did not forget. I hope you haven't either, because there hasn't been a horror movie that I've reviewed in a while that included this. But alas, here we are. From a scale of 1 to 5, think of 1 as Edward Scissorhands, Anaconda, and 5 as Saw, Hostel, or Terrifier. And if you're me, you operate on the G scale, and things rarely scare you, but this is for you to help you out as far as if you were scaredy cat or not, or if you're the type of person that covers their eyes and oh my, ooh, it's too much. No. I would give this a scare factor score of a 3. Gore for sure, visually and audibly. The makeup and practical effects were pretty cool. They did their thing. But to me, this franchise isn't about the outright creepy scare. It's more psychological suspense and the why of it all. Because there's always that connection. They didn't shy away from showing certain kills or panning the camera away in every shot, leaving it to your interpretation, only for some that could be considered more brutal, but understandable. And once you watch it, you'll see exactly what I mean. So, yes, the scare factor score for Scream 6 is a 3 out of 5. Now, my overall rating for Scream 6 is also a 3 out of 5. Go see this for your springtime horror fix. I will say I'm not a fan of the non-Halloweeny seasonal horrors, but you know what? It's okay. It didn't need to lean on the holiday for the extra buzz because they had a very successful weekend at the box office with 44.5 million, nearly 10 million more than the previous high of 34 million that Scream 3 made back in 2000 and Scream 4's measly 19.3 million opening. And the budget for Scream 6 was approximately 35 milli, so that's a plus. I still think it would have been more successful in the fall, but it's okay. Not a bad modern sequel at all. If I had to choose between the two movies, I still prefer Scream 5 over this. It was alright. I didn't hate it. It also helps that my theater was with it and equally funny. Yes, George Costanza moments in the theater are always amazing. Shout out to Alamo. The franchise can continue, but please don't get cheesy. It's inevitable at this point, but make us guess and wonder a bit more. Do we need a 7? First answer off top, no. But sure, for the closure or to further push character development, I feel like they're going to have to progress time a bit. We can't have another Scooby Doo mystery during the college years. Oh, we're graduating, we're seniors now. It's been a couple years. You know the build up. Come on now. Time passes by, they think they safe, but it ain't safe no more. You know what it is. But at the same time, we don't need a corporate ghost face as people are getting into their adulthood and breaking glass ceilings at their jobs. Or the deranged executive assistant that's through with their job. Just saying, don't do those premises or plots, please. Just give us something different. That's all I want. None of those scenarios that I presented, please, though. But see what I mean? It can get very corny very fast. Oh, almost forgot. Thoroughly breaking tradition. There is a post-credit scene, so stick around for that as well. I was gonna give this one a 3 out of 5 originally, but like I mentioned, I liked Scream 5 more than this. And for the first time in history, I'm gonna revise my rating for Scream 5 and give that a 4 out of 5 because I gave that a 3 out of 5. There's no way that there's too many fractions going on here. Scream 5 is a 4 out of 5. And Scream 6 is a 3 out of 5. Okay. Look, I had to make things fair and comparing the new against each other and considering the world building right now and the thrill of it all, I enjoyed 5 better, but 6 isn't bad. Scream 6 is a solid 3 out of 5 for me. Highly recommend it if you're into slashers and horror. Go see it. Still a great franchise after all these years, but it still makes me wonder what is next though. I know a couple of my favorite franchises that were released after the original Scream in '96 still hold up, like Final Destination and Saw, especially for the storytelling and innovation. And I know y'all are probably naming the others, but they aren't as strong. I'm not even gonna name them, but you can keep yelling at the speaker if you'd like. But I mean specifically in this era. So from 1996 to today. You already know Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite, but what else has held up and not gotten goofy? If you can answer that, feel free to in the discussion box on Spotify. Also leave your rating for Scream 6 in the Q&A section. You can also connect with us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or verbalvibemode.com, or leave us a voicemail arguing about how much you love this movie and how I know nothing. All links are in the description box. Peace.
See you round. You know it couldn't possibly be over.